why don't you lay out the premise of an underminer,
Right.
and how they sort of manifest in one's life?
Right. An underminer is that friend who makes you feel really horrible about yourself, no matter what you do, and they always sort of have a feeling that they're better than you, that they don't say that out loud. They just sort of subtly are concerned about you in this way that makes you feel like when you walk away from a conversation with them and you're like, why am I so depressed? You don't really know why. It's a very gassy, vaporous kind of evil in your life.
Yes, and it's a kind of gaslighting. You know those people, and I kind of want to get your expert advice on how you spot them in the wild and if you've gotten better at it over the years. Um, but there are those people one finds in a social circle who really, really get off on other people's bad news or traumas or failures, and they wrap it in this well of I'm just the most concerned person, and my concern means I'm so compassionate and so giving. So why don't you give me all your misery so I can go home and feast on it later?
Yes, the underminer feels better about themselves as long as you're below them somehow. And it is always done with a level of like, I'm so worried about you. You look tired. Are you okay? Is there something wrong? This sort of like concern, which I think is so uh, which was has been around since the beginning of time. But I think with social media and with wellness and with the
Hmm.
way that we all work now, it's even more exponential. And with social media, you can pose that you're better than someone so easily and make them feel so bad about themselves. But also, you can also be I feel, when I wrote this book, it was before the term thought leader was such a big term and before the term wellness was a big term. But I feel like those two, like a thought leader is someone who thinks they're better than you, who has ideas that maybe you don't really understand, but maybe if you work hard, you can get them.
Like Hoda Kotb. Did you see her launch last week?
No, what did she launch?
Mike, she's launched an app. She's left the Brain Trust, the Mensa members over at the Today Show. She's launched an app called Joy 101. And she's gathered a bunch of thought leaders like Maria Shriver, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and she's going to teach you. She's now, if you, Mike, sign up for her 16.99 a month or $99 a year, she will personalize this app for you, to help you find joy that she's got, even though she can't offer any specifics.
Right.
And I think that it's that kind of person. You're so right. Who's like infested social media
Mhm.
with the idea that their wellness tips and tricks are going to make you feel better, but really they're designed to just make you feel worse.
Yep. And I think also, the way that culture has evolved, there is a level of people who think they're enlightened. Enlightenment became a luxury product in a way. And,
Yes.
there's people who can pay for it. And then, they go off to these ashrams or wherever they go and they come back and feel enlightened. And but also they have the money to be able to do so. And, you can pay to be enlightened now. Um, you can pay to be hanging out with the best meditators. And it's, you know, I practice Buddhism, but I don't know what kind of form of affliction it is, but it's definitely, you know, the hocus pocus, which has been around again since the beginning of civilization, has exponentially formed into these thought leading, enlightened beings that make you feel horrible about yourself.
Well, the other thing about this book that's so funny, I mean, I want your opinion on Gwyneth Paltrow, because this book feels so 90s, and you've actually there was a line here, and I literally wrote Gwyneth. The Underminer is talking about getting enlightened, and how it's never clear if the Underminer is male or female, or the target of the Underminer is male or female. I do believe the Underminer is a female. Am I right?
I would say the Underminer is either a female or a gay male, and the
Yes,
and
could be a
the
gay man.
yep. And but there are I've in my experience now. I mean, parents can be underminers, kids can be underminers. There's other types of undermining, especially among mothers with each other.
Talk to
Uh,
me.
yeah,
Talk to me. Tell me more.
about mother mining.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
mother minding. Yes.
I mean, I just noticed that, of course, this is like as I've aged, I've seen different phases of it. And then, when all my lady friends had their kids and, they would come back from the playground or something, and their kid would have been, like, is there something wrong with your child, or like your child has a cough, or uh, is everything okay? There's this level of concern you can really pull out of somebody. I mean, a level of concern you can show to somebody to make them feel terrible about their decisions, especially in the playground.
Yes, and then talk about the mother to the child as an underminer of the child.
Oh, well, my favorite one is my friend, whose mother said to her, "Do you still like your new haircut?" Which is just sort of just like the perfect undermining line. It's just the still is really the dagger in that sentence. I think when it comes to parents, they don't really know that they're doing it very often. But
I disagree.
oh, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
I think that's either being a little bit too generous, or it's a reluctance to be like, can my mom be that mean to me, really?
Yeah, yeah,
She can.
she
Usually
can.
it's yeah, because she knows, she's like, she's your mother. She's like, are you really gonna, you know? So in terms of, there's this other thing you've gotten here. So the Gwyneth thing I wanted to get back to.
Yeah,
So the underminer is becoming enlightened, and she's saying to or this gay man is saying to the target, these three modalities are all really equal. And the word modality struck me like a Mack truck, because that word is, it wasn't that common then, but now, like,
yeah,
the Gwyneths of the world love to talk about modalities. What's
yes.
a modality, Mike?
Well, in the Underminer, there are three different types of people. Uh, there's the Spashtas, Vashtas, and Wishtas. And the Underminer is like, a Spashta is like my boyfriend, strong, manly, is trustworthy. Vashtas, like me, are naturally thin, sort of healthy, have problems with their hands a little bit. Wishtas are larger people who have problems with depression and bad skin, and maybe you're Wishta. That's kind of like the way that it can happen perfectly in enlightened circles, where you can divide people into these different types of people. And there's always one that's just more the loser. And you know what I mean? It's like I'm a Gemini, and I can't tell you how many times in the astrology world people are like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry you're a Gemini." And I remember one time, uh, an underminer friend of mine was just like, your Venus is in Aries. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, we showed this clip on the last episode. It was, do you know that woman Glennon Doyle,
Oh
who's
yeah.
like,
I'm obsessed with her whole Substack thing that got, what happened with her in
no,
Substack?
what happened with it?
Well, this is very undermining, but it's almost like an underminer army. Glennon Doyle was going on Substack to start she's huge. She's a giant
Right.
thinker and thought leader in person. And then all these women, mostly women, kind of ganged up on her and said, like, how dare you take over? How are we going to find our voice now that Glennon Doyle is here? Um, but a lot of the comments would be like, I like Glennon Doyle, but I just feel bad that she's, ruining my time here at Substack and like ruining my career. So, and then Glennon Doyle was like, I'm out. And she just like left Substack after like 5 days.
Well, Glennon is, she's one of these people in the wellness space, which the whole wellness space, I have a huge amount of cynicism towards. And she was on Monica Lewinsky's podcast the other day, and Monica
Mm.
Lewinsky was doing a lot of face work, like listening to Glennon's story. It was a lot of like, oh, whoa, ha, it was a lot. And Glennon was telling the story about how her whole life identified as an Aries. And then a friend, she used the word astrologist. She meant astrologer. I'm being an underminer now. And but anyway, she said this astrologer came over and revealed to her that she was not really an Aries, but like a Pisces, because or her and this like shook her. So I'm telling you this to say that you could get a new diagnosis if you want. Maybe you're not really a Gemini.
I have to find the right astrologist, I suppose.
So, Mike, what is your best advice, having written one of the funniest books about some of the worst people we all encounter? And my other fucking bête noire is like, when I see these people on social media who I know, like, they're in my social circle, they might be attempting to be underminers towards me or others,
Yeah.
and they're all over like talking about their latest accomplishments as if, frankly, they were like me and had gone to space. I'm an astronaut now. I don't know if you've heard, but
Congratulations. Yes, I have
well,
heard.
thanks. But you're kind of like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I don't. How do you deal with these people like in the actual physical world when you encounter them and you
Yeah,
know what they're up to?
yeah. I mean, I to some people I've been like, oh, hello, Underminer. It's kind of please feel free to use the word it kind of to claim it to other
Ooh.
people. But one thing that I really want to warn people about is never say like I got all my underminers out of my life. I got toxic people out of my life because that is such an underminer thing to say. Do you know what I
Yes,
mean?
that you've gotten toxic people out of your
Yeah,
life. People like the Gwyneths of the world love to say that. Like, I've gotten rid of all the toxic people in my
yeah,
life.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's an underminer thing to say because,
Because it makes you sound superior, like you have a better group of friends or something, or you just don't have any problems with your shining, wonderful friends who are all, beautiful and exercise a lot or something. So
yes,
you just have to kind of like be sly about it and just be like, oh, okay, wow, cool. I mean, I'm still friends with my underminer. And when I wrote the Underminer book, he undermined me in a meta way. It was just like, I guess the Underminer is like the most successful thing you've ever done. So,
stop it. Stop it. Does your underminer know at
yes,
and did you tell the underminer or did the underminer just figure it out?
I kind of told him. And we're
And
pals. And at this point now I'm just like, oh, sweetie, like, oh, how nice that you have to do that to feel better about yourself. You could kind of you can kind of do a jujitsu move with your underminers and be like, "Oh, that's so sweet that you were saying that like that,"
it's
that kind of
amazing
thing.
that your underminer did not course correct. But I mean, do you think it's a fixed trait being an underminer into adulthood?
I think so. I think once you get obsessed with comparing yourself to other people, and not doing the see, I'm about to sound like Glennon Doyle, but like don't do if people who don't do the inner work, you know, and and like go through life comparing themselves with other people, which we all do all the time. But if the more aware you are that you're comparing and that other people are comparing, the better off you are. I mean,
It's
because
that phrase that, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
I was
off.
gonna say I think we all undermine. I do it all the time to some of my friends who seem more fucked up. I'm always
Oh
just
my
like, are
God.
you okay? Like, did you get home okay? Those kind of things.
I just want to ask while I have you how you would categorize this because, Gwyneth sort of feels kind of in this realm.
Yeah.
And there's parts of Gwyneth Paltrow I actually enjoy, like aspects of her, like, and her product line, whatever. But, last summer, there was this very stubborn rumor and she never denied it. And she, I think, actually wound up like confirming it. Do you know that guy, Derek Blasberg, who's been
Yes.
like this New York fixtures? For
Yes.
those who don't
Yes.
know, he's like this gadfly. Like he wants to be like Truman Capote and have these famous women be his swans. But really, he's just like, he's mediocre. He's got no talent. He's just sort of inserted himself into their world. And, I guess for like pages in Vogue or Vanity Fair, whatever. And, he was staying at Gwyneth's, allegedly, this is the story, out in the Hamptons last summer and shot her bed, literally, like in the guest room. Shot the bed.
Yes, I've heard this. Are you reminding me now?
Was
How could I
maybe taking
forget?
Ozempic. And the real crime here is that he left the house allegedly in the dead of night and did not strip the bed.
Oh my God.
Now,
What?
is Gwyneth justified in spreading that story? Is that a public service? Or should she have taken another road and kept it quiet?
Oh, good
If
question.
she did, if she did that, I'm not saying she did, but if she did,
It makes me, I mean, I love the idea that she's just like called up her best friend was just like, girl, okay, this is just what happened. I mean, that makes me make her more human. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Which makes me like her. Um,
yeah.
like if she
Who
was
among us wouldn't? Who among us would not? But would you say to said friend, you got to just keep this quiet because this is going to be ultra humiliating? Or like you imply that you have the blessing so that it does wind up on TMZ and page six.
right. Yes, I mean, I feel for first time in my life sympathy for Derek Blasberg. Like it's just horrible. And like he must have felt so ashamed that he had to. I mean, even if they were like 3 billion thread count frette sheets or something, and then he had to like be like, I would have lied and been like, I had a bloody nose. I'm taking your sheets. I'll get you new ones or something. I don't know. That poor guy.
You got to strip the bed. And, I think the punchline to this whole story was that Gwyneth was most offended because, he left it for the help to deal with.
Yes, yes. And you got to be careful out there in the Hamptons.